Okay, so good morning everyone. Welcome to our week 10 of our Seamanship Non-Dangerous Goods. So for today's meeting, we will going to discuss about the load precautions during loading operations or before loading operations of the reefer cargo. So a reefer cargo should be loaded only under the supervision with a surveyor. So surveyor, he is the one who is responsible and he is also a representative from the terminal. Pag sinabing terminal, sila yung taong galing sa port, then sasampa sa barko nyo para makipag-coordinate kay captain. So he is the responsible and also cargo should not be allowed to wait for a long time on the quay. Ibig sabihin kasi pwedeng ma-spoil, no? Kasi from the word itself, reefer, meron lang siyang mine-maintain na temperature para ma-contain niya yung laman ng isang cargo sa isang container. And hold should be pre-cooled to temperature below the carriage temperature. And also the damp, wet, and torn packages should be inspected if the cargo has been deteriorated. And if the cargo is fine, then only it should be loaded after repacking. And the contents of at least 5 to 10% cartons should be examined for the each hold on each random basis because it can lead to a bacteria or some pest na pwede mag-create when the cargo itself getting wet, no, pag nabasa yung papel, pwede siya mag-accumulate at magkaroon ng bacteria, pwede masira or ma-spoil yung cargo inside the reefer.
A typical refrigerated container. In many ways, it looks just like any other container, but it's not in fact with its many special features. It's actually quite unique. So let's take a look at it. Front side. In the front of the reefer unit, you'll find the controller, where you enter the required settings for this specific cargo type is being shipped. The settings include temperature, ventilation, and humidity. Power plug. You'll also notice the 18 meters long power plug cable. The power plugs are available on the terminal on the vessel, and if trucking is used on the genset.
So that is the introduction of our reefer container. So
Moving
again,
inside a standard 40 feet reefer high cube, you will find a space that can hold 67 cubic meters of cargo, the equivalent of 23 European pallet or 20 American pallet. The T-bar floor is specially designed to ensure correct airflow, allowing air to freely pass underneath the cargo. The T-bar floor is fully welded to the side panels, ensuring optimal strength and easy container cleaning. The lower side panel is equipped with a scuff liner to ensure a high level of resistance during loading and unloading. The air guide is also known as the baffle plate, ensure that cold air produced by the reefer unit is correctly channeled underneath the cargo. All reefer containers have a red load line, are fixed to the top of the side walls. The red load line marks the maximum height for cargo storage. If cargo is stored above the red load line, the airflow will be restricted and the cooling process reduced. The T-bar is fitted with 4 drains. These drains are located in each corner of the container, allowing excess water to escape from the floor area. For frozen shipments, the drains should always be closed.
so that it inside the cargo hold, no, of a reefer cargo. I mean inside the
The
container.
seal and sometimes a custom seal pin are fixed to the container door lock. As you can see, this procedure is pretty simple and is easily completed. You have now been introduced to a standard reefer container and some of its important features. A typical refrigerated container. In many ways, it looks
Okay, so cartons with a soft of dripping contents should be rejected. No, kasi pwede siyang, sabi ko nga, no, pwede siyang maging dahilan pa para masira yung ah, cargo na nasa loob ng isang container, and refrigeration of holds should be turned on during the long breaks and during the meal breaks, no? So again, nakita nyo na merong controller yung isang refrigerated cargo. So tendency dapat it should be turned on at nakaset siya when you are going to have a long transport or long breaks para hindi may spoil yung cargo inside the container. So once loaded, the cargo should be covered with tarpaulin. So during this operation, the frost formed on top of the brine pipe should be brushed carefully and do not fall on top of the cargo. No? Kasi pwedeng mabagsak siya, lalong-lalo na yung mga namumuunan na yelo. No? So ibig sabihin, kapag bumagsak siya, nagbago yung temperature. So in tropical climates, avoid loading in a noon. Try to load cargo during nighttime. So again, the weather can also affect the cargo inside the container. So upon completion of the cargo, the reefer chamber must be closed, airtight, and cooling resume immediately. No? So dapat right after ma-transfer, the process itself, yung controller outside the container, maset nyo na kaagad at dapat bago nyo i-load yung isang cargo is pre-cooled na siya, malamig na siya para hindi maninibago yung isang cargo na ipapasok nyo sa container.
Cargo handling made easy. Hi, I'm the Reefer specialist, and I'm here to tell you how and why proper cargo handling is important for the quality of your products. We all know that refrigeration of perishable products is essential to keep them fresh for an extended period of time. Why? Well, because fresh products will keep respiring after being harvested, a process that generates heat and natural gases, which later on might affect the practical shelf life. That's basically why we have reefers, to cool down the cargo and minimize the natural deterioration of products during shipment. But did you know that you indirectly impact the temperature inside the container when you stuff your cargo? Probably not, but that's a fact, simply because the optimal temperature depends on the right airflow. And the right airflow very much depends on correct packaging and stowage of the cargo. Cargo preparation. Before even getting to the actual stuffing, however, you should know that the main purpose of a reefer container is to maintain the temperature of products, not lower it. Or, that's not entirely true. Some commodities, like citrus, can in fact be stuffed at ambient temperature, as most of our reefer units can actually quick cool the product, thereby bypassing the need for cold storage and extra product handling, saving time, warehouse capacity, and not least, money for the shipper. However, this very much depends on the specific products, and for the majority of cargoes shipped in reefer containers, we still recommend that you pre-cool the product down to set point temperature before stuffing into the container. And the faster you cool down the product after harvest, the longer shelf life and better food quality you will be able to offer your clients. But remember, pre-cool the cargo, not the container. If the container is pre-cooled, then the cold air will meet the warmer ambient air when the container doors are opened, and condensation will quickly build up. Some of this will stick to the interior of the container and apply humidity to the packaging material, which in some cases can damage your cargo. Stowing chilled cargo. When stuffing chilled cargo, it's very important that cool air can pass freely through the cargo at all times, ensuring that heat and respiration gases are continuously being removed. To do this, cargo should preferably be loaded on pallets, using packaging material with unrestricted symmetrical air holes. Air, however, always takes the path of least resistance. To ensure the right airflow up through the cargo, Maersk Line recommends to cover the floor area where no cargo is placed with cardboard or another type of cover material. If this isn't done, well, then the cool air will only reach some of your cargo, and very little will actually pass through the boxes as intended. Stowing. Frozen cargo. For frozen cargo, Maersk Line recommends block stowage. Here, cargo should be stacked as a solid block, leaving no space between cartons, and no space between the cargo and the walls of the container. This will allow air to circulate around the entire load and thereby remove heat produced by the reefer unit itself, or the ambient air penetrating the container roof and walls. To enable the right airflow, also remember to never stuff above the red load line or beyond the end of the T-floor in the back of the container. This, by the way, goes for both frozen and chilled cargo types. Well, that's the big picture of reefer cargo handling. You can find more information about pre-treatment, stuffing and reefers in general right here on our website. We also recommend that you take a look at our reefer container checklist that summarizes all the things to remember when stuffing a reefer container. After all, the essence of your business is the quality of your products. And the quality is very much dependent on how well you handle your cargo from the time of harvest until you stuff it into a Maersk Line reefer container. The rest we will take care of.
Okay, so that's why there's a commodity, no, pag sinabing commodity na yung mga tinatransport natin, na nagkakaroon ng difference about the prices. No? May mga commodities tayo na mas mahal, pero the same lang din sila ng product. For example, the apples, no, yung mga fruits, yung mga vegetable, they're all the same products, but the difference is the quality of the product. So, kasi minsan, during the transport or there's are some delays na nangyayari, tendency, bumababa yung quality ng product because of the instances na nade-delay yung product and na-spoil. No? Kung hindi man na-spoil, nababago yung pagka-fresh ng isang product. So, again, so cargo must be stowed in order to allow free circulation of air through the or around the stow. So, laying dunnage, no, yung sinabi natin dunnage, yung nasa ilalim ng isang kargamento para hindi directly yung pinaka-cargo doon sa loob ng, or para hindi directly mismo doon sa ilalim yung mismong cargo natin, lalagyan natin ng dunnage. No? For example, yung wooden pallet, di ba? Binigyan natin example yun. So, laying dunnage should be such it is that it does not obstruct the design of the airflow in the compartment. So, pwede natin lagyan ng dunnage but make sure that the airflow or the air supply does not become a hindrance to the flow of the compartment kasi, syempre, again, the circulation of air is much better observed. So, sides and bulkhead should be fitted with a vertical dunnage also to keep the cargo away from the structure. Kasi, syempre, alam naman natin na yung container is made up of metal at alam naman natin yung metal is sala sa lamig, sala sa init. So kapag mainit siya, pwede rin siyang masira yung cargo kung nakadikit siya sa walling ng container. So pwede siyang ma-spoil or pwedeng masira yung or mawala yung quality ng isang product.
Talking about, let's start with a fun fact. Did you know that a 40-foot reefer can hold approximately 108,000 oranges or 117,000 apples? Yeah, you're right. That sure is a lot of fruit salad. But let's get on with it. A standard reefer container is a bit more complicated than a standard dry container. But to be perfectly honest, it's really just a big fridge. Well, a big fridge equipped with 3 key features: temperature control, air exchange, and dehumidification. A reefer has a temperature range of -30 to +30 degrees Celsius. And because of the temperature control, we can store most commodities that require a steady temperature while transporting them from A to B. During transport, an efficient air exchange system removes gases from respiring products, and this helps maintain the optimal oxygen level at all times and keeps fruit and vegetables fresh for much longer. This means that we can transport the products greater distances without compromising quality. Another feature of the reefer container is the dehumidification. This is optional and maintains a dry environment inside the unit. Keeping in mind the three key features of a reefer, let's take a look at what we place in it. Basically, we have two main categories of reefer commodities: frozen and chilled. It's quite simple. Products that need to be kept below -5 degrees Celsius are categorized as frozen, while products that need to be kept at -5 degrees Celsius or above are categorized as chilled. Chilled products can be challenging to handle because they tend to be sensitive to fluctuations in temperature. The risk of damage to the cargo and consequently the risk of claims can be higher with chilled products. Frozen products, on the other hand, are easier to handle, and the risk of damage and claims is therefore lower. So, which products do we find in each category? Well, frozen products primarily consist of poultry, pork, and beef. Not to forget frozen seafood, which include shrimps, salmon, mackerel, tuna, and, well, pretty much everything you can find at your local supermarket's seafood aisle. Typically, chilled products include fruit and vegetables such as bananas, pineapples, melons, oranges, berries, potatoes, and onions. Each of these chilled products requires unique reefer settings, and the temperature alone varies from -5 degrees to +30 degrees Celsius. That's a wide range, so it's very important that we ensure that the reefer settings are maintained throughout transport. If we don't, well, then the products will not arrive in the optimal condition. At this point, it may seem as if we only use reefers for meat, seafood, fruit, and vegetables, but this is not the case. Other reefer commodities include butter, cheese, chocolate, electronics, and plants. As I mentioned earlier, basically any product that requires temperature control. Talking about, let's start with a fun fact. Did you know that a 40-foot reefer can hold approximately...
Okay, so kasi syempre alam naman natin the purpose of shipping is through transporting of goods from one place to another. Kaya nga tawag natin sa mga tanker vessels, cargo, container, ro-ro, we are merchant vessel because this is the trade starting off. Because syempre alam naman natin during the centuries before, no, yung mga nakaraan, they used to have a galleon trade, yung pagbabarter ng product from one country to another or one continent to another. Tendency, ganun din nangyayari sa atin ngayon. We are going to barter or trade the product. And syempre, to preserve the commodities and preserve the quality of a product, especially for the commodities that is being consumed by the human, yung mga pagkain, no, yung fruits, vegetables, and some other processed foods, is requirement niya magkaroon ng good refrigeration. So, again, in addition to the information, reefer chambers must be divided with the air channels from each block and do not exceeding in 3 meters, that is the sizes. And channel must be at least 10 centimeters wide, aligned to the face, the cool of the outlets, and there should be a gap of at least 30 centimeters between the cargo top and the lowest part of the deckhead. So that is the size of the container that we should follow. So damaging should be efficiently carried out so at least avoid to stow collapsing into the air channels.
This is a typical Maersk Line refrigerated container. In many ways, it looks just like any other container, but it's not. In fact, with its many special features, it's actually quite unique. So let's take a look at it. In the front of the reefer unit, you'll find the controller, where you enter the required settings for the specific cargo type being shipped. The settings include temperature, ventilation, and humidity. You'll also notice the 18 meters long power plug cable. Power plugs are available on the terminal, on the vessel, and if trucking is used, on the genset. Moving inside a standard 40-foot reefer high cube, you will find a space that can hold 67 cubic meters of cargo, the equivalent of 23 European pallets or 20 American pallets. The T-bar floor is specially designed to ensure correct airflow, allowing air to freely pass underneath the cargo. The T-bar floor is fully welded to the side panels, ensuring optimal strength and easy container cleaning. The lower side panel is equipped with a scuff liner to ensure a high level of resistance during loading and unloading. The air guide, also known as the baffle plate, ensures that cold air produced by the reefer unit is correctly channeled underneath the cargo. The T-bar floor is fitted with 4 drains. These drains are located in each corner of the container, allowing excess water to escape from the floor area. For frozen shipments, the drains should always be closed. All reefer containers have a red load line affixed to the top of the side walls. The red load line marks the maximum height for cargo stowage. If cargo is stowed above the red load line, the airflow will be restricted and the cooling process reduced. So remember, always respect the red load line and do not load cargo above this. When the container stuffing is completed, the doors should be closed to avoid unwanted warm air entering the cargo area. A mask line seal and sometimes a custom seal pin are fixed to the container door lock. As you can see, this procedure is pretty simple and is easily completed. You have now been introduced to a standard reefer container and some of its important features. This is a
Okay, so refrigeration system has a brine made by dissolving calcium chloride in fresh water, so we'll have a freezing point. So well below the desired temperature of the refrigerated compartments. And the cold brine must be pumped and control the rates to give the correct working temperature. And it is led from the evaporator of the refrigerating machines to pipe up to the top of the cold compartment. So the brine absorbs heat from the compartments and returns to the evaporator, and where it's again cooled and recirculated. So by the way, brine is a simply a salt water, but in a refrigeration system, it is made by mixing water into a special kind of salt, like a calcium chloride. So it is called brine, and in this case, brine is used to a brine is used because it has a lower freezing point than the water, meaning it can stay liquid even if it is very cold temperature. This makes useful for cooling things in a big refrigeration unit, just like the uh, container. So brine helps transfer cold to the air or objects around it, keeping things that foods or rooms cold without freezing up. So long story short, the brain makes the uh, surroundings cold, no, because of its ingredients and properties. So, a refrigeration system is a big fridge that uses for the special liquid cold brine, which is this salty water. And to keep things cold, here's how it works. Now, first, the brine really cold, a machine cools down the brine so it becomes super cold, but it doesn't freeze. So next, the brine moves around and the brine pump through a pipelines that run inside the fridge or refrigerator room. So these pipes are placed near to the top of the cold area. So number three, brine cools the air as the brine moves through the pipes and it absorbs the heat from the air, then making space inside cold. So the brine goes back to the cold again, and after the brine absorbs the heat, it goes back to the machine and get cold again. And this process keeps repeating. Kaya nagiging malamig yung temperature inside the uh, container. So for example, think of it that like putting cold water in a bottle. So cold water in a bottle and placing it inside the lunchbox. So the cold water will soak up to the heat from your food and make the lunchbox cool. So kapag malamig na yung lunchbox, so once the water warms up, you can chill it again, and the brine in the refrigeration system does the same thing, but it keeps on moving around to keep the things cold at all time. So this how big refrigeration or refrigerated rooms on ships and supermarkets stay up cold. So just because of the brain. And for the general guidelines for the reefer cargo temperature recording, so reefer containers require a special care after they're loaded on board ship. These containers need to supplied with power monitored closely for the proper function and repaired as required in case of malfunction. So the article here is about procedures and guidelines on reefer cargo temperature recording. A part low recorder registers temperature on the pressure sensitive circular over 31-day period because some of the longest voyage is sometimes uh, 1 month. For example, you are going from Asia into America, it travels a lot to when you are using Panama Canal, no? 30 to 31 days. But if you are not entering through Panama Canal, through Pacific ay dadaan, it takes 45 days. 40 to 45 days. Ganun katagal yung biyahe. Kaya yung refrigeration unit, medyo hindi na kayang i-sustain or i-contain yung lamig. So if the voyage transit in expected 31 days, care must be taken to ensure that the charts are replaced before expiry and the first chart should be placed underneath the new chart in order to build a complete temperature record to the entire voyage until arrival at the final destination. So that concludes our topic for the today, and that is the last topic for our midterm quarter. So again, there will be no uh, exercises. I just want you to read all of the or watch all of the handouts that I posted on YouTube para magkaroon kayo ng idea on our midterm examination. So again, thank you very much for listening and have a great day.